Hello singing friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Mickey here, your friendly neighborhood singing coach. It is Tuesday morning and today I'm going to be reacting to an Ofra Haza song called Middle East from her 1989 album Desert Wind. This is a request from my viewer and friend Loris Hassani. The lyrics to the song are, "In my promised land in the Middle East, what will we do about terrorism? In my promised land in the Middle East, what can we do about fanaticism? You and I on parallel lines, you and I, we are the key. Dreams are not enough to lead and guide us to peace in the Middle East. Desire for peace, such yearning for peace. Does your country do what you believe in? In my land there is war and we're losing our soul, and ideology is losing meaning. You and I on parallel lines, you and I, when can we meet? Dreams are not enough to lead and guide us to peace in the Middle East. Flare lights, flowers, mothers, fathers, homelands, green fields and tears, borders, rivers, desert, Dead Sea, we are the key." And then it repeats, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, in the Middle East, in the Middle East. So very powerful and appropriate lyrics, not just, of course, for the Middle East, but I think as someone who is very proud to live in the United States, and I do feel very patriotic, but at the same time, we're not always privy to everything that our government is doing, or even a small proportion. It's pretty opaque, the inner goings on and motivations of our government, having famously gone to war over weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, and only now we're pulling out of Afghanistan. 20 years later, all these things have consequences that are very far-reaching, and the motivations we aren't even privy to. And it seems like even though we do have a representative democracy, things aren't exactly direct from what the people want and what our government actually does. So I can relate to this very much, both as an American and having some Israeli heritage as well. Oftentimes it's the citizens who suffer for the things that their governments do, which they have very little control over or even full understanding of. So obviously very moving, very touching, very appropriate subject. So let's check it out, shall we? All right, you guys know the drill. I will be stopping the song at least once. I'll put the uninterrupted video in a link in the description box below if you want to check it out there. Here we go. This is Middle East by Ofra Haza. very 80s in terms of the production with the synthesizers and the bass and all of that. Putting aside the modernity of the production style, I do like the upbeat nature. It reminds me a little bit of like Genesis, like Phil Collins or something, you know? So it does have like a cool flavor to the retro sound. The one thing that I think kind of sticks out for me about this song is that it is kind of early in her career, and I've talked a lot about how she is such a chameleon and a polyglot, and she's able to really slip in and out of all these different languages, and her pronunciation is almost like a native speaker. In this particular song, it is, I think, earlier in her career, and you can hear her accent much more in the way that she's pronouncing the English, and the way that the word scan doesn't feel natural to me. You know, like it sounds like she's trying to fit words, graft them onto a melody that's a little bit faster and jumping around a lot with a lot of, you know, intervals and, you know, skipping up and down melodically. And the way that the words are scanning, the scansion of the words feels unnatural. Like a native speaker trying to set lyrics to a melody wouldn't have done it in this way. The accents are kind of like in a weird spot. The emphasis is on the wrong syllable, you know? So it feels a little weird to me. It's a little incongruous to how poetic the words are. If you read it lyrically as just like a poem, it's very, very poetic and moving. And then hearing it set to this kind of like more upbeat 80s style melody and production feels a little bit incongruous, and the words are almost lost a little bit. If you just listen to it in terms of a song, I like the upbeat nature, I like the melody, I think it's, you know, entertaining and it's pleasant to listen to. I especially like that da da da, the part that doesn't have lyrics in it. I think that's kind of a cool climbing melody. I do like the energy of the track. It's kind of funky. It has a cool kind of retro sound, but in terms of the depth of the meaning of the lyrics, the gravitas of the subject matter is a little bit lost because of the weird scansion and because it doesn't really match the mood of the very, very poppy, major, funky sound of the track, if that makes sense. cool. So I think it's a really fun, upbeat 80s dancey track. I like the production. I like the overall flavor and sound. There's a little bit of a disconnect between the subject matter and the poetic nature of the lyrics and the sound of the track for me. I'm a lyrics girl, as you know, so when I read the lyrics, they really moved me, and I thought that they were very, very just astute in some of the things that they said. I particularly liked the line that says, "Does your government always do what you want it to?" or something along those lines. I thought that that was a very cutting and deep sentence, and then those lyrics are kind of lost in the mix of the upbeat nature of the track. It's just kind of like a fun, kind of dancey 80s kind of sounding track. But that's the only really criticism I have of it. If I heard this, you know, in a movie or in a store or something, I definitely would enjoy listening to it overall. It definitely has a little bit of a dated flavor, but in like a nice retro kind of way. And I even like the graphic design of the cover of the disc, you know. I love the shoulder pads and the chunky bangles and the hair and the eye makeup, and even like the font that they use that's like reminiscent of that, like the sweeping, it almost looks like it could be like Arabic characters. I think the whole thing is very nice and cohesive, and her voice sounds great. She always has amazing control in all of those riffs that she does. Also, I like that they chunked them, you know, like a lot of the melismas are short and then they're repetitive, and so that gives it more of like a feeling of something that's looped, and it's a little bit easier to hook into in terms of being able to sing back the melody right away and it being sticky. Those are all positive things that I like about it. The only thing that I really can say as a critique is that the lyrical content didn't really match the feeling of the song for me. But I enjoyed it, so thank you so much, Loris, for recommending this. I hope that you enjoyed my reaction, and I'll see you guys here next time. If it's a Monday, I'll see you Wednesday. If it's a Wednesday, I'll see you Monday. Until then, of course, take care and happy singing.